All right, so like a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, I made a video about how people who already own certain models from Warhammer 40K Games Workshop would easily be able to convert them over for use with Trench Crusade. So I'm going to show you one. This is your standard Chaos Cultist with an auto rifle. Let's see. Come on, focus in, maybe. Just so you guys know what we're looking at. Come on. Well, the point is, since he's carrying a stub rifle and it does look like an automatic, looking around, it's just a guy in a robe. There's nothing high tech about him. And the rifle he's even carrying isn't even super high tech. It's just an assault rifle or an automatic rifle of some sort with a drum magazine, right? So this guy painted is 100% ready to be a chaos, go from being a chaos cultist to being a trench crusade heretic soldier, right? Like right off the bat, that quick. He's already on the right base. He's got an appropriate weapon. I mean, depending on if your army can actually afford a guy with an auto rifle, but a fully automatic rifle. But you know, if you can, then fine. But and I'm going to do something that back in the old days, boy, oh boy, Games Workshop sure did, try to, get people to do this. Well, I've been doing it. So let's put him down. That was just the simple, uh, just a guy with a rifle. And you could just cut that rifle right off of him and put anything else on, and, he'd be good, right? But here we have the guy. Now he had like a ball and chain and a pistol or something, right? Las pistol. Well, I just removed both of those things and I put a heretic style sword in his hand and a revolver in the other hand. And then that weird fetus thing that a lot of heretic soldiers carry, right? So that's just a simple weapon swap, just hands, nothing big, right? And then the other one I did just to show how easy it could be is I took the guy in the robes. You can see where I green stuffed, and I'm going to have to do some painting and everything. But I removed his arms because his weapon actually, I think, might have been too sci-fi, las rifle or something. But I removed his arms and stuck some arms from the Russian World War One kit on him with a little green stuff to get the cowl to kind of, and then he's got a shovel on the back from the German kit. He's got a stick grenade on his belt. And once he's painted up, he's ready to go. And if you want to, yeah, you can paint your Heretic Legion guys red. There's nothing against that. So, I mean, maybe I'll just paint the rest of the Heretic Legion guys red. Now, just for funsies, I had downloaded, and it turned out downloaded, 3D printed. It's not like they're getting downloaded off of a replicator or something, but I 3D printed a bunch of chaos cultists of He Who Should Not Be Named, the, King in Yellow. And I gave them a really rough, like, base coat, and then I set them aside, never messed with them again. And I mean, looking right now, I've got like 25 of these guys. I don't know. I think it's just because when I print with my Saturn 3, sometimes if I'm going to print a thing, I just print a whole bed of it. You know what I mean? And I'll figure out something to do with it at some point, right? And yeah, it's lame, but that's what I do. So this guy cut his arms off and gave him a Moses and a gun. So he could be, technically, this guy could be a trench pilgrim, or honestly, he could be a cultist, trench pilgrim. If I'd put like if I'd cut his arms off and then put like some kind of really like wicked looking staff on him, he could he'd have to be on a 32 mil base, but he would absolutely make a warlock, which is the leader of the heretic army. You need a warlock. So another mod I did is I 3D printed this flamethrower, which is a actual flamethrower, like a realistic one, and using a little bit of cord for the, you know. So flamethrowers, it turns out, are something that trench pilgrims can have. They're expensive, but you can have them. And I may declare my trench crusade guys to be followers of Saint Olga, which is a Russian saint. And she was best known for burning a city down because the people in the city had murdered her husband. So flamers make a lot of sense with her. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's kind of how easy it is to make a lot of things. Now, some things are hard. If you want communicants and stuff, that's a little bit more difficult to do. But to make some of these armies, and especially if you're already a 40K collector, some of this stuff is just dead simple and cheap. It's not expensive, like, I guess you can argue, well, but you own a 3D printer. Yes, I own a 3D printer. A lot of people do them. So, and I didn't buy it specifically for this project, but I get it. If you don't own a 3D printer, that is a big ask for anybody. I mean, depending. I mean, you can get the new Mars, like Ultra Pro, whatever, for super cheap. And the build plates are actually bigger than the old Mars were. So that's an option. I got the Saturn because my brother bought it for me. But, if you ain't got a brother that's willing to go a couple $100 in on something for you, then that just makes me super lucky, right? But before I get too far off the point, this guy I'm still working on. I'm probably going to put a Mauser, but I might put a flamethrower or something on him. And it's just one of the chaos cultists. This guy, I've left his sleeves on, so he's going to be a little bit harder. But I put the chaos or the heretic hat on, with the full gas mask. So he actually fits into the warband pretty well, just because he's got a matching head. But and maybe I'll paint those helmets up like that 3-tone camouflage that some people used in World War One. The beige, brown, and green color. So getting a weapon on him will be pretty easy. It's just a matter of getting the weapon that goes together and then carefully measuring, shaving down the arms to the right size to fit on what we've got here. And then, some testers, ultra thin glue. And then there you go. You're going to have your guy. I'd love to put a machine gun on this guy, but I've already got so many guys with machine guns. And actually, Heretic Legion, I think, can start with a machine gun. So maybe what I should do is throw a Lewis gun on this guy. You know what I mean? Or a DP8 whatever the Russians got it, same thing really. And you know, then he'd have his long coat. I could repaint that long coat to, I don't know, another color, filled gray or horizon blue like the French. I mean, I imagine, you could get away with anything on that long coat. But what I am going to do right this second, just because I thought about it, is I'm going to glue some German style steel granata hand grenades on his back and a shovel, because Heretic Legion guys can have shovels. So I'm all like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, it's and the club and stuff off of that one guy I kept, because that can go on another guy, another Heretic Legion guy I'm working on, or even a Trench Pilgrim guy could use that, right? But what I'm looking for is, looks like I'm gonna have to go to the go to the source, which is right here. These sprues. Find the German one, the World War I German one, and look for shovels. Okay, I've already apparently cut all those out. So let's keep looking. I know I've cut a bunch of them out, and I've probably put them in a container somewhere, and now I'm like, where in the hell's the container at? I don't know. Here we go. Grenades and shovels. As I've said multiple times in this game, if your Heretic Legionnaire is equipped with entrenching tool, a shovel, they can start the game on open, clear terrain and count as being in cover right up until they move. And, that represents, I'm sure, the fact that they've just dug in, which any trained army would do. So, I wrote a thing to them saying I think that all the mortal troops should be able to be equipped with entrenching tools. But now that I think about it, maybe the trench pilgrims shouldn't, because I mean, that's just a bunch of guys carrying around whatever. So, so maybe they shouldn't, and maybe I need to look at New Albion, and maybe they already can, which means my whole suggestion was basically BS. And I would have been better off just knowing what I was talking about before I even opened my yap about it. But, I'm here to open my yap about stuff. And also to show you how easy it is to take basically any miniatures. And with the price of, I don't know how much those War Games Atlantic World War I figures cost me, have everything you really need to put together your war band. I mean, you could make them New Antioch, you could make them heretics. Some armies would be harder, because if you're going to make trench pilgrims, you're kind of expected to have the certain items. But then again, not necessarily, because there are some war bands of trench pilgrims that do not wear the iron capriot, if that's how it's pronounced. And the Russian kit, they have heads where it's just a gas mask, no helmet or anything. It's just like a smooth leather thing with a gas mask sticking down, right? And that would work actually for trench pilgrims. You just, build the Russians, give them that, and give them a bunch of Mosin Nagants and clubs and send them on their way, you know? So, yeah. So now this guy, carefully making sure I'm on the belt because I'm like that. So now this guy's got a couple of stick grenades and a shovel on his back. And I'll find a Lewis gun. The good thing about the Lewis gun is it actually comes with both arms already attached so that you just slide it on the body. So that's going to make it super easy for me to line it up, see where it needs to be cut, glue it in. If it needs a little molding around with green stuff, no problem. And then I'll have a guy in a great coat, you know, with a Lewis gun. And like I said, you know, I could paint these guys up in French colors, in any colors I want, because that's how this game is, you know. Uh, how you want to paint your figures is entirely up to you. And there's nobody to tell you not to do it that way. So I'm going to leave it there. Peace and love to all you Trench Crusaders and other gamers out there. And I will see you in the next one. Until then, you know, keep your powder dry.